This video is going to be about photosynthesis and part one of photosynthesis, which are the light-dependent reactions. And I'm going to abbreviate reactions here. Okay. Some people will just abbreviate these to be the light reactions. This is where we basically turn energy from sunlight into chemical energy. And remember that it takes place on the thylakoid membrane. In the chloroplast, of course. Okay? I'm actually going to go up here. Would be better. So, seeing as it takes place on a membrane, just like we did for the electron transport chain in cellular respiration, I'm going to draw our membrane. Okay. And I will draw some, you know what, I'll do that in green. Just drawing some protein items in here. Okay. The first item in our membrane is actually called photosystem, or I'll abbreviate to PS, photosystem 2. And the second item is actually photosystem 1. You might be wondering, shouldn't photosystem 1 come first? And you're right, it should. However, the second photosystem, photosystem 1, was discovered first before the first photosystem, photosystem 2. So it's one of those sort of interesting things. Photosystem is going to be where chlorophyll exists, and it is going to be where electrons are energized by incoming sunlight rays. So let's just say we have our electron here. Sunlight comes down and excites the electron to a higher energy level. Okay, this electron is then passed down an electron transport chain. So there's actually a whole bunch of proteins in the membrane here that act just like an electron transport chain. They're using the energy from the high energy electron to push, let me get a new color here, to push hydrogens into the thylakoid space. Let me label that here. This side will be the thylakoid space, and this side will be the stroma. So that inner portion of the chloroplast. So we're pushing hydrogen ions, and again, those are positive, into that thylakoid space. Okay? And so therefore, we've lost this electron here from photosystem 1. How we get it back is we actually end up splitting water. I'm going to draw it on the membrane even though it takes place in the stroma. We end up splitting water into hydrogen ions and oxygen. Okay, so oxygen gas is created in one of the very first steps of photosynthesis, and also water is used. And that ultimately will replace our electron. So we're always going to have an electron coming in, and that's why plants really need water, or one of the reasons why plants really need water, is because to replace those, to have electrons going through the photosystems. So now a lot of the energy from our electron is spent by going through the electron transport chain. It was all used to move hydrogen ions into the thylakoid space down here. Okay? And it ends up in photosystem 1. In photosystem 1, it yet again interacts with plant pigments, and yet again sunlight rays come down and excite the electron to a higher energy state. And at the end of photosystem 1, that high energy electron is gained by an electron carrier, which we discussed in cellular respiration, but this time it is called NADPH, not NADH. And the base form of that is NADP+. Okay? And of course, the easiest way to remember which one is in photosynthesis, well, the one for photosynthesis has a P in NADPH, not just NADH. So now our high energy electron is taken by an electron carrier, and we have all of these hydrogens, right? We've built up that electrochemical gradient just like we did in the electron transport chain section. And yet again, these hydrogens don't want to be there. Not only are they all positive, so they're repelling each other, but there's lots and lots of hydrogens there. There's a high concentration of hydrogens. And yet again, here comes along ATP synthase. In our thylakoid membrane. And so yet again, ATP synthase will allow the hydrogens to exit the thylakoid space back into the stroma, the direction they want to go, because we've created this concentration gradient. And in the process, ATP synthase turns and ends up creating ATP. And so the overall point of the light reactions is to take light energy and turn it into chemical energy. Well, we've done that. We've excited electrons and ultimately created high energy electron carriers as well as, literally, chemical energy.